it's time for our final speaker, Erik Fredlund from DoubleStrand.
Yeah, thanks. So thanks very much for inviting me or us to come here and talk. I'm going to sort of continue on the startup theme of the other talks and speak a little bit about how we started a company. It's called DoubleStrand Bioinformatics, or possibly DoubleStrand Analytics. Time will tell, ask me in a week or two. Which is a data science startup in the medical sphere. So initially with a bioinformatics company, our idea was to analyze bioinformatics data, but it sort of turned out as we moved along that we do quite a few other things. So this is our story. It's one story. It might not be the correct story on how you start a company, but it sort of worked out for us so far. I want to start with two caveats. One thing is that we're quite a young company. So I sort of have the feeling of a 23-year-old footballer writing his first autobiography called My Life. But I'm happy to be here to talk anyway. But time will tell how this works out for us. The second one is different from the two other speakers that are sort of product-driven companies. We're consultants. So in a sense, part of the product at least is standing here in front of you. And we work with other people's data, making it kind of difficult to have a show and tell exactly what we do with that data. Specifically, since this is recorded, so I actually have to remove a couple of slides. So there will be a small part, about a third into this presentation, where there's some general AI hand waving instead of showing actual sort of methods and results. But myself and Alex, who's sitting over there, are happy to talk to each and every one of you afterwards and discuss this more. Okay, on with the show. Everyone sitting here knows this. We're living in a data-driven world. Basically, our entire economy is changing, and our largest companies, I like this picture, sort of here, Facebook, etc., Google, Microsoft, pictured sort of on top of old school industry. And the pharma industry is no different, because if you, at least in my world, having worked with quite a few large pharmaceutical companies in my years as a scientist, medical companies are not super innovative. They're sort of quite comfortable doing their thing, and what they're doing right now is mainly acquisitions. So trying to sort of find companies with new ideas and then purchasing them or creating partnerships with them. But if we're talking about tomorrow's farmers, this is actually for companies that sort of would like a say at this, with their subsidiaries and collaborators, etc. So Alphabet, Google's mother company, for instance, has two companies that I would, let's call them health, medical pharma companies, Calico, Verily. And I'm assuming many of you have sort of read the nice AI-centered papers from Google Research on image analysis and whatnot. Intel, for instance, has named bioinformatics as one of its 4 focus areas. I think this was in 2016. And are collaborating quite extensively with the Knight Cancer Institute, which is in Oregon, and with the Broad Institute, which is basically on the Harvard campus, that both deal quite a lot with sequencing. And then Microsoft, with their AI division, are collaborating with Adaptive, which is an immune technology company, and so on. So this is happening now. This is big business. Obviously, we're a slightly smaller outfit than these guys, so we're not really competing with them. But looking at the Swedish life science market, and these are some numbers from a memo from Tillväxtanalys. Some 3,000 companies. Approximately 1/3 of these are sales and marketing organizations. The rest of them, many of them at least have some sort of R&D staff or idea. 42,000 employees, 164 billion Swedish krona net turnaround. So not a small market. The export is something around 90 billion Swedish kronor per year. Guess how many bioinformatics companies? One. At least that we know, but that would be us. There are, as far as we know, no bioinformatics companies in Norway, none in Denmark, not including freelancers here, talking about companies. There are 2 companies in Finland, actually. But one of these is basically doing all the bioinformatics for Bayer Pharmaceuticals. It's quite a large company, 30, 40 employees, but they have 1 client. And the other one, I'm not so sure that's actually a company. So it's, I would say it's a bunch of academic freelancers, yes?
Maybe you should define what bioinformatics is, if it's just like so rare. Maybe we have different views of it. What is it?
Okay. You mean bioinformatics?
Yeah.
Okay, so what I'm talking about are like pure bioinformatics consultancy companies, not companies that have bioinformatics as part of their business. I mean, there are obviously bioinformaticians working in companies in Sweden. But if we're talking about bioinformatics consultancy companies, I would say, as far as I know of, 1 person running a company on his spare time. Yeah. And then, different from sort of, let's say, a statistics consultant or something like that. Does that sort of help? Yep. And I prefer not to define bioinformatics. Okay, so, not a bad market to start a company in. So our company, DoubleStrand Analytics, like I said, it's a young company. We were founded, or the company in its present form, the aktiebolag, was started in June 2017, so close to a year now. We went operational, meaning that we actually sort of started working for our company in October 2017. We started hiring, meaning then other people than ourselves, in January 2017. February, we were invited to join the Invest Stockholm hot list, and at present we're enjoying, sales-driven organic growth. So short story, but it's been moving fast. In this time, we have sold in 12 projects of a bit more than 2,400 hours in total. Delivered 70% of those and worked in 5 countries in Europe. So, clearly a demand on the market. But, this is not a company pitch. I'm going to try to talk a little bit about our journey to this and how it all started and things that we were thinking about, our strategies and so on. And some things that happened without a strategy. So who are we? Well, Alex, here on your right, and myself are the co-founders of this company. We've known each other for quite a few years. At the time we started the company, we were both working at Karolinska Institute at the Department of Oncology in a larger bioinformatics team that I guess I was heading. We feel we complement each other quite well in terms of starting a company that's sort of a relatively specialized data science company. Alex has a computer science background, a master and a PhD in bioinformatics, and then before sort of moving into science academia, he was working as a software development in the telecom industry mainly. Me, I have spent 15 years in academia, building a proper academic career, getting grants, starting a group, starting a lab, etc., all of that. So if Alex is a tech guy, I'm the med guy, and together we complement each other quite well. Our business concept, this is really simple, not a surprise for anyone sitting here. We provide value from data. That's what we do. we sort of sell ourselves, our skills, to our customers who have data or some sort of data-related problem, and we help them with that. Basically, what any data scientist should do, at least. We do this by providing advanced analytics, AI. This is the hand-waving part. And the second thing I would say we do is that we operationalize data science. So, in a sense, standard data science stuff, but as consultants and in the bioinformatics setting. So, in terms of this, I would say many of our customers are companies that are, let's call them mature startups. So they've had 2 or 3 rounds of funding. They have standardized and set their experimental workflow. Everything is working at the lab edge, and now all of a sudden they're generating a bunch of data. And in order to sort of turn their idea of a product into a proper product, something that they can actually sort of go to market with, they need someone to standardize also their data flow. Basically take their raw data that comes out of a sequencing machine or any type of data generating equipment used in a modern molecular biology lab, and standardize that, and possibly also build some sort of analytics platform on top of that to deploy machine learning models in relation to that. So that's sort of, I would say that's what we do. We also do like pure analytics projects, and that's sort of at the moment where we sort of spend the most of our, let's call it AI money. And I think Hannes described nicely why AI is a good solution to biological problems. Specifically, why AI can be a good solution to sequence-related problems. We do a lot of protein sequence analysis in the immune technology sphere. And the data is highly nonlinear, meaning that standard methods, even sort of what's known as what would be called state-of-the-art methods, which are basically sequence alignment methods and motif enrichment methods and so on, for those of you who know a little bit about bioinformatics, they fail. They are quite unsensitive compared to using deep neural networks. And it's really fun and interesting to see how well the networks can solve these type of problems compared to state of the art. All right. Yeah, and this would sort of be the structured and standardized part where we take the customer's data and sort of build an automated pipeline with quality controls, normalizations, etc. This is from a project we do with a company in Finland that do drug screens. And we build dashboards, reports, integrative analytics on top of that, internal, external portals. So I think that's sort of a key part of our offer as well. It's not that we just do data analysis or just do bioinformatics. We build entire environments for our customers. We use Shiny quite a lot for that, and or dashboarding and so on. So nothing out of the ordinary, but very much in demand. Right, starting a company. This is our story. Number one, preparation is key. If you want to start a company, or at least for us, you can't just up and start a company. It takes a while to get things running. And I think one of the reasons why, the first slide where I showed, we were funded them, blah, 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 etc. These are our KPIs. Part of why that has worked so well is that we started preparing this quite a while before we actually sort of funded the company, or before we moved over to the company. So if we started a year ago, we actually sort of had the idea in September 2016, and that's when we sort of started working towards this idea. Let's start a bioinformatics company. So how did we do that? And I can tell you, if you want to do this while maintaining a full-time position somewhere, academia is your friend. I don't see any other company letting me do these things. Go to customer meetings when the customers are not your company's customers or your employer's customers. It's a different customer and so on. But having the freedom that you have in academia and the fact that many of us we pay our own salaries. So in a sense, academia research groups is just a conglomerate of small companies where everyone has to have their own economy and so on, which gives you an immense freedom to do different things and start companies and so on. Anyhow, the idea was started in September 2016, and so what we did was, or at least I started going to interviews. I started applying for jobs that I didn't want, and then I went to interviews on these jobs just to sort of see, okay, what do people want? What do companies want? And that's that's a talk on its own. I'm sure everyone who sort of interviews for a data science position will join me in having interesting anecdotes on being tested for high school maths and whatnot. So interviews and meetings, just like who do I know? Who do I know that's has started a company? Who do I know in data science and so on? And just started talking to people, going lots of lunches and so on. We started the first version of the company, Enskild Firma, in March 2017, because then at least we could say we have a company. Plus, this doesn't cost anything. We went on our first customer meeting in Italy in April 2017, still working at KI, both of us. So a bit of a holiday there. And we signed our first major contract in June 2017, like 2 days after we started the aktiebolag. And that should be said. I mean, that's like the only investment that we made in this company so far, so 50,000 Swedish kronor. But it's sort of worked out. So I can't remember the name of the company. You said that needed 120 US million to... Yeah. I don't agree. Although we're a smaller outfit. Okay. So once you get your company started, how do you market yourself and how do you sell? This, I hesitate to call it a science, but it's very much a topic on its own. It's not easy. I'm going to give 3 keywords that I sort of came to think about with my small experience in this. First one would be to diversify. So, we're not starting a bioinformatics company that do one thing. We're starting a company as data scientists directed towards data science, and then we go out in the market and we'll see what people want, right? So we're open to taking many different types of data challenges. And bioinformatics in itself is really quite a broad field. So you could imagine that, yes, we will start a company that only works with analyzing next-generation sequencing data. And in that case, I think we would have made 12,000 Swedish kronor so far. So diversify. That's, and I think this is sort of really different from being possibly a venture capital funded or product centered company already from the start, where you work quite hard to sort of prepare your product and then you try to put that on the market. We instead we put ourselves on the market and we could basically let the market decide where do we go next. Although that's not the only thing we were doing, we were not sort of drifting in the wind. We were networking quite heavily. So you basically work your network, your LinkedIn network or whatnot, and just start meeting people, talking to people. And this is actually how we have done almost all of our sales. I think we've done 2 cold calls, one which was successful, one which wasn't. So that has been really successful for us. And then, recently, since we joined the Invest Stockholm network, this has sort of really expanded, and now we get to meet some very interesting clients via Invest in Stockholm. Last one, cooperate. It's basically, I think many markets, by definition, are closed. It's really difficult to start a company from nowhere and try to sort of come into a market and get to talk to the right people, etc., and try to sort of sell yourself. So one solution to this that we had is that we started cooperating, and specifically we cooperate with a business intelligence company called Affinity People, and it's owned by 3 persons that are really experienced in business intelligence. They have large networks. They have built and exited a couple of companies already, and for us that's really valuable. So we can access also their networks and liaise with them. I think I have one more slide or something like that. So the second one will work and deliver. So I have 3 points here as well. On working as a consultant and as a data scientist in bioinformatics. So the first one is first aid. We are usually, I think in most of the cases, or in all our sort of customer cases, we are the first data scientists or the first bioinformaticians to team up with that company and to help them analyze their data. And this presents a specific challenge, because usually they have sort of some idea, yes, we would like someone to analyze our data, preferably with an AI, whatever that is. And so it takes a lot of communication then to sort of understand, number one, what is it that they want? Number two, what is their data? And then you have to analyze that, and you have to sort of communicate the results back to the customer, so the customer understands and the customer likes what you did, and are happy with your services. And I'm sure many of you have sort of had this experience as well, that you're sort of the first person that works with a certain group and provides data analysis to a group. And for me, that's sort of all about communication. Second one, proof of concept. Really, this is what you want to sell. And as a company, or as a group starting with data science, this is what you want to buy. So for me, the proof of concept gives an opportunity to sort of come in, start working with a company, and test their data. Because they might have sort of all sorts of ideas on what they want, but unless you sort of actually sort of start looking at their data and start working with them, and you start understanding what is it that you want, what is it that we provide, it's really difficult. So we prefer to do proof of concept projects like 100, 200 hours before doing something bigger, or even a week. The last one I have, this is 80-20, and this is what Alex said when we were supposed to give this talk, and I think it's really, really correct. So if you start a data science or an AI company, what you're really doing is you're starting a data cleanup company with 20% of analytics on top. Everyone who's a data scientist here has been there, has experienced this. That you have potentially really nice data, potentially a really nice idea, but it takes a long while to sort of get your data to where you actually can test your hypothesis. And everyone knows this, but you have to be careful what you're selling. Because if you're selling, yes, we're going to build this fantastic AI experience or application to you, and we're going to do it in this many hours, then you have to sort of make sure that the data is ready for you to start modeling on. And so it's best if sort of everyone understands this is what's going to happen. We're going to spend minimum 80% of the time trying to clean up your data and try to get it analysis ready, and then we're going to spend 20% modeling, and then maybe you do a second project on top of that. I think that's it for me. So that's my short lecture.
Thank you so much. Do you have any
questions? I'll try and repeat.
Yeah.
Can you say a little bit about your clients, their profile, or
Yeah, sure. So the question was our clients, their profile, and so on. So like at least I think I said, mature startups in the biotech sphere have spent a lot of time, a lot of money into developing some sort of experimental protocol. For instance, the drug screen company that was mentioned. They have spent 5 years developing a system that assesses basically cancer treatments, but what's known as in vitro then, so in a test tube. So you can screen on a patient's own tumor cells. You take a specimen from a surgical specimen or a biopsy from a patient or from the cancer. You seed out the cells and then test upwards of 150 compounds or drugs at the same time. So instead of treating a patient based on history and experience tells us this patient with a lung cancer should get this drug. You test 150 drugs and you can sort of try to build some sort of recommendation system or prediction engine on top of that. That would be one. But as I said in the beginning, we're doing quite many different things. So me personally, I'm working with a project with a part of Swedish music industry right now, building a prediction engine on Swedish music. That's as much as I can say about that. but that's really fun, and then that's sort of one of the things I really enjoy about working with data science and bioinformatics is the ability to sort of traverse between these different topics and apply your skills to many different types of data and areas and so on. Yeah.
So you're a consultancy company.
Yep.
So you sell actually the code to the companies that you. I mean,
Yep.
you do the work for that. You sell the code. So even before you did the work, you already had some or part of the payment. And then they
Nope.
own the IP of your.
Yep. There's no difference from the way I say it, there's no difference what we're doing, and then if you're bringing someone to build you your homepage.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So pure consultancy.
Yep.
Yeah. And how? I guess you can benefit if you're in the bioinformatics domain. That you can benefit from different clients having similar needs.
Yeah.
But can you like plug and play the same code again, or how does it work?
Parts of it, yes. I mean, if you say, so we in several of our projects, we sort of the end product is some sort of portal that displays data that allows the users to sort of query their data and analyze their data and so on. And quite a lot of that is sort of reusable code. So I would say internally we're building up a code base that we can use, but in my experience, there is no one size fits all in bioinformatics and the data science projects that I've seen so far. So you really need to sort of adapt to each client's specific needs. That's not to say that we don't sort of think about the projects that we do and see, okay, is there a product here somewhere? So we might go down that route eventually.
So are you selling? This is about the business model a little bit. So as a consultancy, are you selling yourself as a man hours, or are you actually agreeing on a particular result? And if yes, then how do you measure the outcome or the actual success of what you do?
Yeah. Sort of one would wish that those were two different things. We sell hours. But we sell ours on a specification, right? So the customer says we would like for this to happen. I should say we've had orders like, please build us a big red button that does this when we push it. That's like the type of orders we've had. And then you have to build a specification on top of that and say, okay, we think it's going to be this many hours, and then you just have to deliver on those hours. And sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. But there's no difference in that from any other project management. So we sell ours. Yep.
So you're basically selling billables. Do you believe in the livability of a business model which is based on royalties?
Yeah, if we could find something that was more scalable than right now, absolutely. But I think some of the largest and most profitable companies in the world are consultancy companies. It's not a bad business model. It really isn't.